The baby, of only 2 years old, called her mother, who was inside the coffin. Everyone looked at that scene completely stunned. It was beautiful and sad at the same time, because the people who were present at the funeral knew how strong was the bond between the woman and her daughter. The tears, the anticipation, and the amazement of seeing what that little girl was doing filled the atmosphere at that place. The girl started to feel restless on her aunt's arm, as if she was intrigued by something very deeply. So she gave the child to her father, who could feel there was something strange about his daughter's behavior. Maybe she's feeling the pain of not having her mother by her side, the man thought with himself. It really seemed that the baby knew exactly what was happening. The father, Jack, noticed that his daughter was turning her whole body in the direction of the coffin where her mother remained. "Look, the baby's looking for her mother. Look at how she's looking for Alice," some people whispered to each other as they witnessed that sad moment. The little girl was trying everything she could to get to the coffin until her father took her closer, complying with what she wanted. The girl felt more and more restless as she got closer. But how did this all happen? How was it possible that that young woman, strong and full of life, was about to be buried? Everyone in the city knew the story about those two. Jack Hardy was an aristocrat. He was son of the largest landowners in the region, who owned thousands of hectares of land and thousands of heads of cattle. His family was the richest in all of Texas, and Alice descended from Mexican parents, and she was of an unparalleled beauty. Since she was a little girl, she was raised by her aunt, who was a very hard-working leader that made Alice a woman with whom any man would want to marry. Since childhood, those two souls were destined for one another, but this great difference in origin and family roots made this relationship bad from the beginning, and no one thought it would work. But love is always a stubborn bat that goes against the current. Jack's family, in their effort to keep him away from that woman, who in their eyes was simple and without many attractions, they sent the young man studying abroad, and his parents told him that he would have another life, meet other people, and would fall in love with someone more suitable, and forget what they thought was real love. Time went by, and that love remained alive thanks to the incessant written letters that never stopped coming and going. Time passed, and Jack finished his studies, and contrary to what his parents expected, he remained single and did not doubt for a moment what would be his next destination, his hometown. The arrival of the Hardy family's heir was quite an event in that region. Being of legal age, Jack and Alice got married, and to avoid the rejection and judgment of his parents, they decided to move to a bigger city, 4 hours from theirs. There was where their first child would be born, a beautiful girl named Chloe. After a while, Jack's parents called and begged him to forgive them for not supporting their marriage, and they also moved to that city with the intention of being closer to their son and their granddaughter. In the beginning, there were times when Jack wasn't home that his mother was passive-aggressive towards Alice and extremely demanding, as if her daughter-in-law was her assistant. The elderly woman asked her to do the most absurd things, like driving for hours looking for a medicine that didn't exist and acting as if she made an honest mistake, when Alice could swear that she saw her mother-in-law smile as if she was proud of that mistake she made. Although those things stopped, and for a while, the young woman, her little one, and her in-laws actually started to get along, and things felt more harmonic between all of them, which was everything Alice and Jack have always wanted. But suddenly, one day, while Alice was preparing the baby to put her in the crib, she fainted, completely losing consciousness. The young woman was taken to the emergency, but the efforts and maneuvers that the doctors carried out in the body of Alice were of no use. She surrendered to death. The diagnosis was a sudden major drop in blood pressure that caused that fatal outcome. The arrangements for the funeral were held, and there was that pitiful scene of a young man carrying his little 2-year-old daughter towards Alice's coffin. The baby girl became increasingly agitated as her father brought her closer. Jack asked to open the lid of the coffin to allow the little one to see her mother for one last time. When the lid of the coffin was removed, the little girl jumped with emotion and put her small hands up in a tender, childlike way. Everyone heard that sob coming out of that little mouth as the baby saw her mother again. Jack was about to take his daughter out of there to calm her down when he heard a slight soft moan coming from his wife's body. He couldn't believe it. He approached, and with great difficulty, he noticed a very weak breath coming out of his wife's nose. The news spread like wildfire. Alice was pronounced dead in the hospital, and suddenly, due to the breathing and her little baby's calling, she came back from the gates of death. Afterwards, Jack decided to investigate what happened to his wife. Was it a medical mistake, or something else happened? When the investigation was done, it was discovered that Alice's in-laws planned her murder, using as an excuse spending time with their granddaughter while looking for the right opportunity to put in her drink potent sleeping pills that would cause her death. Alice's body had sunk into a sleep so deep that the doctors considered that she was dead. Some time passed, and with the call from her little one, Alice regained consciousness, and her in-laws' actions came to light. In the end, out of mercy, Alice and Jack decided not to press charges, but they decided that they would stay distant for as long as they thought was necessary. Maybe forever. If you know any similar stories, write about it in the comments, like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe to the channel for more fantastic stories.